What's up, everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to MX vs. ATV All Out, where today I wanted to just kind of talk to you guys a little bit about basically MX vs. ATV Legends. We saw the announcement trailer a couple weeks ago now. I think it was like early October that we saw the announcement trailer for MX vs. ATV Legends. There has not been yet an official release date announced for MX vs. ATV Legends, but it seems like the general consensus is it's going to be Q2 or Q3 of 2022, so maybe somewhere July, August, September area. But again, there is not an official release date now. So what I wanted to kind of talk about with it, because I just did a video last week talking about MXGP, and MXGP 2021 is going to be coming out soon, and I see so much like feedback about those games and what people want in direction with the MXGP series and the Monster Energy Supercross video game franchise and stuff like that. And I wanted to hear your guys' opinions on your wish list for MX vs. ATV Legends. Like, what do you want to see out of this game compared to what we have now? We have MX vs. ATV All Out, and I know that always people, say, oh, it'd be great to go back to Reflex again, or go back to, a lot of people like MX vs. ATV Alive as well, go back to those old formats. But, how realistic those options are is always up for debate, but I just want to know what you guys would like to see out of this new game compared to what we already have now, which is MX vs. ATV All Out. I think the idea coming forth is that, there's going to be some changes to MX vs. ATV Legends from All Out that, it's not going to be a huge overhaul necessarily. It's going to feel like a pretty similar-ish game, but obviously some updated things about it, some new tracks, new bikes. They say there's a new career mode and other things like that. So I'm excited for a lot of different things that I hear coming with Legends, but let's talk about this a little bit more in depth. First of all, comparing the MXGP series and the Monster Energy Supercross series to what Rainbow Studios produces with the MX vs. ATV series, it's really just like, it's apples to oranges. They're just very different. They're trying to accomplish the same thing in a regard where they're trying to make a dirt bike game, or in MX vs. ATV's case, an ATV and dirt bike game and a UTV game, so they're trying to include multiple genres and make a fun, replayable video game for all users, not just, the diehard hardcore motocross fans, not just the diehard hardcore UTV drivers or anything like that. They are trying to make a game that can encompass anybody from 3 or 4 years old all the way up to 34 years old, so they already have that tough task of trying to appease a large range of an audience, and because of that, I feel like they are always going to not do certain things that people want. Like, there's a core audience group with motocross games that wants a real simulator on console games. It's just not going to happen because, a company like this is not in the business to make a game that is so niche that only a certain amount of people will play it, and they will lose money over time because, they're not going to get a huge amount of revenue from casual players picking it up and hating it because it's so difficult to play. So they have to bridge that gap in a way. And personally speaking, in the differences between the MXGP series and the Monster Energy Supercross series versus MX vs. ATV and their recent titles, I'm actually a bigger fan of what MX vs. ATV chooses to do with their games, which is loosen it up a little bit, make it a little bit less realistic, I would say, in a regard, and make it, faster, flowier. You can throw tricks. There are quads and UTVs in this game as well, so you can do a little bit more with the game than simply just race dirt bikes and do nothing else. So I've always liked that about this franchise because it feels like it encompasses a lot more than just the racing aspect of it. Now, obviously, myself, I'm a fan of the racing side of it, so I, tend to only like really playing this game for the racing side of it. Like, I'll do freestyle tricks here and there and stuff like that, but generally speaking, I like the racing side of it more than the extraneous stuff that comes with the games. But I am of but one person. There are plenty of people that play these games that like the UTVs and the quads and the open world aspect and the big jumps and the freestyle side of it and all those other things that come with it. So I would say, like, just as a starting point for moving into MX vs. ATV Legends, I think for me, I would just like something a little bit more in depth in terms of a career mode, and they're talking about that as something that they're working on for this new game, because MX vs. ATV All Out got very stale for me, and there's a reason why I don't play it very frequently on the channel, is because the career mode wise, you kind of run out of things to do in a sense rather quickly. Like you get through the different events more or less, and there's not really like things that you can do. You upgrade your bikes very quickly. The money system, the way it is, I think it needs to be as open as it is with the credit system, so that it's not difficult to purchase new items and play the game just for fun if you're not trying to like sweat it and get to the highest level necessarily. But because of that, it makes it so that like, someone who is trying to career mode the game a little bit doesn't really have a lot of depth, because you upgrade your bikes and your UTVs and everything very quickly. And then even on all-time mode, it's not easy, but it gets easier to defeat them and, beat the AI and everything like that. So then you want to turn into like multiplayer stuff and start doing multiplayer races and different things like that. But then there's only still 12 riders on the gate, so you feel a little bit hampered by that. And then from my side, because I'm a competitive guy and like the racing scene, I tend to then go to the simulators because they have a more competitive racing scene, I feel like, than these console games do. That's just my opinion of it. I know that there are very competitive scenes in MX vs. ATV and in the milestone games that are out there, and those are great that those flourish with the way that they do. I just feel like there's a little bit more depth with the sim stuff. So I want a career mode in Legends that is deeper. You have to get sponsorship opportunities. You have to do different races. Maybe there's even like a legit story mode to it. Like I've always been very fond of looking back at MTX Moto Tracks, for example, which was a fantastic game released in 2003 by Acclaim Sports that had a full-blown story mode to it, and it was almost like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater but for motocross. And so it'd be fantastic to have something like that back for my side of it. But I understand the logistical hoops that they have to jump through for something like that, and that it may not be a priority in their development cycle. Maybe they want to expand it more. I know they're trying to do 16-player multiplayer now, so that's great. And I'm glad that they still have split screen for these games, because I feel like for the younger audiences that want to play, I frequently get messages too about like a dad and his son are trying to play a video game together, and they constantly ask me, hey, like if I get MXGP 2020, can I play split screen? And unfortunately you can't, because that game isn't set up for it. But MX vs. ATV is, so I often recommend them to get this game, because it's better suited for two-player, kind of co-op gameplay if you're just playing it on a console at home with, a couple buddies or something like that, and you're not planning on getting online. So I like that they have that aspect in it. They're going to continue it. They're doing the 16-player multiplayer, and they're talking about expanded career mode. So I'm happy about that. If we moved into the physical aspects of it, like I said, I like that they go for the more free-floating feel of these games. And 100%, I'm totally on board with everybody that says once you play this game in first person, it feels a lot different. It totally does. I'm only playing it in third person right now just because I like watching the whips. And in first person, like, you can't really see the whips as much. I have the same problem with MX bikes where I go back and forth between third and first person. So in this game, I fluctuate more and land more on the third person side, but I do quite enjoy playing first person in this game. It does feel, in a sense, more realistic. You feel more connected to the ground. But a change that I would like to see for Legends is maybe just make, gravity a little bit more of a priority. Like, I feel like you just float too much in this game. Like, you hit a little bit of a bump and you'll float like way down into a corner instead of being able to like lay into a rut very smoothly. You absolutely can lay into ruts in this game, 100%. But I would like it to be, a little bit more heavy feeling, I guess is the only way to put it. Although I hate saying that because I like the free flowiness of it now. But just, the suspension be able to soak up the bumps a little bit better, the ruts to be a little bit more, in there and noticeable, and the terrain deformation to work a little bit more as such. It does already work. It does, have lines that you can lay into and ruts that feel good and stuff like that. But I just wish it was maybe a little bit more fine-tuned so that ruts, form. They actually got good arcs in them and everything like that. And when you race the AI, it wasn't an all-over-the-place mess. They actually did utilize those ruts that you make, and they got better as the race went on and things like that. So, physics-wise, I'd like the ground physics to feel a little bit better. Air physics are, I feel like, such an interesting topic with this game, because a lot of people do like the current iteration of air physics that All Out has. I'm personally more of a proponent of going back to what Reflex felt like, and I know that that's a common thing among people. People always are asking for Reflex 2. Why can't we get Reflex 2, or why can't we get Alive 2? And I hear those cries as well, because I feel like the air physics of Reflex, every time I go play it again, I'm like, man, gosh, this was so good. Like, it feels so fluid and easy, and like you wanted to throw a whip and it just like worked immediately. And with this game, you know, once you trial and error whips a little bit, you start to feel very comfortable with throwing those whips out there. But I just felt like Reflex had a more, I wouldn't say easy. Well, I guess easy is probably the right word, just because it seemed like it was rather simple to learn, you know, how to throw a whip out there and what the feeling of it was supposed to be like. So I think if anything, I would maybe just like them to kind of tighten up the air physics a little bit, where it's not so easy to like really just like kick a whip out there immediately, or really just like backflip super easily. I still want it to feel, and this is an unpopular opinion, I feel like, with the core audience, but I want it to feel a little unrealistic. Like, I'm playing a video game, I'm playing on a console, I want to have fun with the game. I don't want to feel like I have to get on and like try hard this game, so I want to still be able to go and throw a huge, you know, triple backflip off of a jump or something like that, or hit these wood planks that would totally fall apart in real life. But hey, you know what? It's totally cool. So, you know, I'd maybe just like to see the air physics not be so immediate, like not so like the second you wanted to like kind of lay over a whip, it just threw it out there and you were upside down and backwards right away. Maybe you have to initialize that stuff a little bit more on the ramps, and you know, when you go up to the face of a jump, you have to kind of lean into it a little bit more, kind of like I just did right there. But you know, I still just kind of threw it out there the same way I would, even if I like took off and just floated there for a second. Like, if I'm just like, oh, now I want to whip, and I can still throw a huge backwards whip on this jump, you know, like that to me feels a little bit fake and unrealistic, and it's something that I don't quite love about these games. But I tend to get past them just because replayability-wise, these games still have tons of value because they're easy to pick up and play, and I totally get it from a casual standpoint why they do what they do with that side of the game, so to speak. So I would say ground physics-wise, maybe just a little bit heavier and slower, so that, you know, corners feel a little bit more realistic. I'm not asking for them to, you know, completely revolutionize it to make it like so you have to come to a dead stop in corners and lay into ruts and everything like that. There's going to be a hardcore group of fans that want that, 100%. I'm a hardcore fan, but I'm also, you know, the type of person that understands there's a different genre that this game falls under in a sense. So I'm not begging for hyper realism with these games, just something a little bit more closer to what I expect the bike to do. And then, you know, air physics maybe just a little bit, again, I hate using the term heavy, but just not so easy to throw ridiculous upside down unrealistic stuff while you're floating there in midair, haven't moved for 5 seconds, and then you're like, I just want to throw a nice whip out like that. Like, that just feels really weird to me when I play these games. So yeah. First person wise though, like with these games, like I said, it feels amazing when you play this game in first person and get comfortable with it. I feel like the camera movements have gotten much better with the MX vs. ATV series over the years. I still feel like this first person camera is a little bit glitchy at times, or like you seat bounce or you hit a bump weird and the camera shakes awkwardly. So that part of it, I feel like they could you know, fluid it out a little bit, maybe have like a little bit of a gimbal feel with the head over the rider. But overall, like, you know, first person just feels tremendously fluid when you're actually trying to put your head down and turn some burner laps on this game. And like I said, there's a core group of fans about this game that really enjoy the first person side of it, and then try to find setups that create like a hyper realistic feel with the game. And I love that part of the community as well, because they've found a way to make this game fun and interesting for them. So yeah, updated career mode, looking forward to that. Maybe some tweaked physics, some, you know, heavier feel, some, you know, a little bit not as realistic stuff in a sense, but also not trying to change that up too much. But then, yeah, like beyond that, there's also a lot of things that like we could consider, like more tracks, more bikes, having the official motorcycles come with the game right from the get-go instead of having to purchase the KTMs and the Yamahas and stuff like that. I think a lot of people would really like to see that. I am of the opinion that like a massive open world motocross game would be a lot of fun. Like, think GTA, but for motocross, where, you know, you're not doing missions where you're like trying to shoot people and stuff like that. You're just, you know, riding a dirt bike from point A to point B, but the map is huge. Like, could you imagine if we had a motocross game with a map the size of GTA 5? Like, you know, started in downtown Los Santos and you had to get to the backside of Mount Chiliad, for example, and it's like a literal trek to get there. Like, it's going to take you like a half hour on a dirt bike. That would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of things you could do with that to make, you know, time trial races, waypoints. You know, you could even make crazy maps that are like super long, almost like rally style races with you know, waypoints and stuff like that. And MX vs. ATV, I think a little bit more so than the Milestone games, has started to branch out more with the expansion of their maps. Like they've released some downloadable content maps that are massive, like thinking back to even Supercross Encore, like they had that Squile Valley one that was huge, and they're trying to do more of that with just like the standard stuff that they released, and some of the maps that they've already shown in their release trailer of Legends seem like they have stuck with that mold where they have big maps and stuff like that, which is, like I said, just kind of a staple of the MX vs. ATV series. But I want to see more. I want to see bigger, you know, more expansive, more detail, and maybe just more story involved with that. You know, maybe they have like this one key open world map that you do the whole story on, and it's got, you know, 20 odd national tracks, 15 supercross tracks strewn across it. It's just a huge map, and you got to go to these different areas of the map, almost like you're maybe even playing like a Forza or something like that, and do these challenges. And they're not always, you know, necessarily races. Sometimes they might be, you know, trial runs, or they might be you know, whatever, just delivering goods from point A to point B or something like that. Like you have to carry a backpack with pizza in it or something like that. Just weird, fun, quirky stuff like that will throw me back to thinking of like MX Superfly and like I said with MTX Moto Tracks. Like I'm such from that generation of gamers where that stuff was so common, and we've lost that a little bit, I feel like, when it comes to career and story modes with these more modern games. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that. You know, expansive open world. Obviously the 60-player multiplayer lobbies are good. I'd like it to be 20 plus if possible, but you know, we're getting there. 2-player mode is great, and so on and so forth. But those are my thoughts and opinions on it all. What I'm curious, of course, is what you guys think. What do you want to see out of Legends? And don't just, you know, come in guns blazing by saying like it needs to be Reflex 2. Like, point to specific differences you'd want to see between MX vs. ATV All Out versus Into Legends. And, you know, it's okay to reference back to Reflex and Alive and say some of the things in that game were good, but point to those specific things. Like, you know, what about the air physics did you like in Reflex if you liked it? And what about the ground physics in Alive did you like if you liked that? And things like that, so that developmentally, anybody that's from the dev team that might end up watching this video, or if there's any feedback I can provide to them, I actually have a little bit more range to it than just flat out these games suck, which, you know, there's going to be people like that, and we get it, we hear you, you don't like this game. There's 5 other motocross games out there for you to play, but for those of us that do actually enjoy games like these, it's fun to debate and talk about what's going to be the differences in this next coming game, and hopefully fans of this game will continue to remain fans of this game, so Rainbow Studios you know, continues to see that the motocross community is a worthy investment of their time, and you know, they can keep making some awesome fun games for us to play. So that's my little spiel. Would love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Anything you guys wanted to add to what I had to say, or anything beyond that you wanted to just discuss, I'm happy to go down there and continue talking with you guys. Always loving hearing from you guys, your thoughts and opinions on everything, and appreciate you guys taking the time today to stop by, watch another video here on Start Your Systems. As always, appreciate you guys if you would like it, maybe if you are not subscribed already, to subscribe as well. Get involved in the comment section below, as I mentioned, and I look forward to seeing you guys in all of our future videos here on the channel. But this is Kellen signing off for today, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.